Good morning again. My name is Dima and I want to welcome everyone today. Glad to have so many people present. We have obviously people from very different industries here and countries present on the webinar, but the topic of today's event, I believe, is what actually unites us all. So the hosts of this meeting are Salesforce, the largest cloud-based CRM provider in the world, and Cloudity, which is a Salesforce consulting partner based in Warsaw, Poland. So on behalf of our crew that made this webinar happen, all the people involved, let me tell you that we're extremely excited to have you with us today. Let me maybe introduce you quickly to the other speakers of our today's rendezvous, if you may call it so. There are two more people today with me. David Sitarek.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Sitarek. As Dima mentioned, I have been working with Salesforce for over 3.5 years now, and I've been responsible for driving and developing the platform business across the CEE region, 21 countries altogether. So thank you all for joining us today, and hopefully the content that we've prepared for you is going to be interesting. Thank you.
Thanks, David. And the third speaker here will be Florin.
Hi everyone, greetings from Munich. My name is Florin Pinte-Landgraf. I'm a technical architect at Salesforce, and put it in a few words, I'm basically the technical counterpart of David, and I'm happy to show you around the solution in a half an hour or something like that.
Awesome, thanks Florin. So briefly about today's event. First we're going to start with the discussions of the topic of today's webinar. The whole, let's say, part will be in the form of a discussion / interview with David. He will be at the start of the first part of the event, and the second part will be Florin. He'll show some magic that I'll tell you more about later. So without further ado, maybe let's jump right into it and start with, let's say, a very general discussion of how the world reacted to the pandemic when it struck the globe in 2020, the beginning of 2020. I mean, we've all been there, we've seen it, but maybe some numbers just to get it started. So 46% of American businesses only, due to the research, implemented remote work policies as of mid-February of 2020. The remote workforce grew by 159% between 2005 and 2017. And it was just 3.4% of people working from home at least half of the time. And obviously, it's not unreasonable to think that many of the employees have been asked to work from home, had very little or even no experience of doing so, right? Employees obviously struggled to stay efficient at home. Focusing was impossible. Conditions were inappropriate for them to complete their duties, but obviously also the management was not, as it turns out, ready for this switch as well. Therefore, some industries, as we observed it, handled the situation better, like the tech companies, and some of them did this worse. But let's maybe ask this question to the star of today's event, David. So my first question to you would be, in terms of those challenges that people and the business world experienced during the pandemic, what was the greatest one that occurred during the transfer to the hybrid mode of work?
Yeah, thanks, Dima. I suppose that's a very good question, very relevant question to the situation we're currently observing in the world. So we all know that, COVID-19 and the pandemic related to that has hit the world hard in both social and business terms. Yeah, and from the business point of view, it required many changes and many alignments and a lot of flexibility from the businesses, from the products and services that they've offered, also to how the employees work, how the employees are going to work in this new norm, in this new home office scenario, and then later in this hybrid working scenario that we are now currently facing. And given the nature of the modern businesses, most of those changes and the challenges were kind of, landing on IT operations and IT department shoulders, because they were the ones that had to handle all the traffic and all the challenges related to that new way of working. And, those IT departments have been hit the most when it comes to, workload related to this transition. And while it was the difficult logistical exercise on its own, the fact that, people have to move from office to home office, also the fact that the IT agents or HR agents were also now remote workers also added additional layer of complexity. And the ability to deal with the new way of working and support the employees remotely has become the main challenge for many organizations. And we look at some statistics and the data to back up this theory. Around 90% of the leaders say that improved employee experience leads directly to improved customer experience. So we can only imagine how important it is to provide our employees with this comfortable setting in this new norm. And while this distributed work, remote workforce has given us the more flexibility than ever before, again, it created massive technological challenges. Beyond the typical tech issues that prevent employees from being productive at home, on the road, or in some co-working spaces, challenges mount with things like onboarding the new employees, which is, again, focusing on the HR departments, training the new employees, et cetera, et cetera. And we can imagine now the scenario that we can no longer walk over to the IT support desk or HR support desk and request the access to the new software, or request, password reset, or request a new phone or new tablet, whatever that might be. Everything now has to be automated. Everything now has to be done remotely. And now we need to make sure that we have the right technology in place to support those type of, day-to-day scenarios, because ultimately this is our day-to-day problems that we are facing in every organization daily. And we have conducted a survey around the remote work. And here are some observations that came up during that survey, that the companies have faced the challenges around managing IT assets when it comes to IT support, managing IT assets, having more than usual open IT tickets, securing company and client data in a distributed network, communication and collaboration, and VPN-related issues like configuration, scalability, and troubleshooting. And similar question was also asked to HR directors, HR managers, HR agents, to see what's their kind of point of view when it comes to supporting their employees remotely. And their top of mind was, number one, boosting employee engagement and happiness, ensuring the consistent communication with the employees, maintaining optimum productivity, focusing on training and development, and maintaining company culture. So we looked at that from the 2 points of views, IT support and HR support, and these are the observations that came up during the survey that was conducted around that.
Okay, so talking about those challenges, obviously the HR, let's say, leaders and the leaders in IT in all the companies had to come around with different strategies to tackle those challenges. But my question now would be rather, were they equipped with the proper tools to make those strategies live, let's say, right? Were they ready, and did they have the right tools to address those challenges? And especially, I would like your opinion on the security and privacy point of view. Like, were they prepared to battle this too? Because I think this has been a hot topic for discussions recently.
Absolutely. Again, this is another relevant question. I'm happy to say that I have some, again, statistical data to give you the answer. So there's a good news related to that questions where the companies, prepare for that shift from office to home office. And most organizations, around 58%, have said that they've already had the right support equipment and the right remote strategy in place. Okay, so 58% were properly ready, properly equipped for that shift, and the transition from shared office to home office was somehow easy to them, okay? Then the second place was around 27% of the companies said that they were somehow prepared, okay? So they had somehow introduced that remote working strategy. However, they needed to add extra bits and pieces to make sure that this strategy is working as it should be in this new scenario, making sure that the employees are happy, making sure that their employees are fully supported and they can continue their day-to-day work and focusing on their KPIs, supporting customer, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the last place was around 15% of organizations were completely unprepared for that, okay? So those were the companies that I suppose were struggling the most. And myself and Florin, we have faced a lot of conversations with those type of companies where they were completely in shock once the pandemic has hit the world, okay? They were completely unprepared for what the governments have introduced, that, employees have to work from home. And they needed to sort out quickly a solution in order to continue their business going. So 15% were lacking complete preparation for that kind of shift. And from the data security and data privacy point of view, the survey looks slightly different. 41% of organizations were being equipped to tackle this kind of increase in security and privacy concerns. 46% were somehow prepared. So again, they needed additional adjustments to make that, work from the security and data protection point of view. And around 13% of the surveyors said that they were completely unprepared. Again, so those were the ones that were putting off the fire, and they were kind of, running around trying to find the quick solutions to make sure that their data and their, IP will be protected in the right way. And also it's important to remember that, 81% of hacking related to data breaches is related to people using either weak or stolen passwords. Okay, so quite often it's the kind of a human error on the side of the employee, and and also human error in terms of not having the right strategy in place, like for instance not having things like two-factor or multi-factor authenticators, or making sure that the passwords are being created in the secure way in order to prevent those things from happening. So 81%, that's a huge number. So again, our focus was to make sure that our customers are equipped with those tools to make sure that these things are not happening for them.
Okay, and also one quick question on the same topic, because personally for me the security topic is quite interesting. I also wrote my thesis on something similar. So a follow-up question to this one, in terms of hacking, right, and those threats, the security threats to companies, what was the biggest one, the one that occurred the most often, right, most popular one?
So this is a good question, Dima, because there's actually a huge increase in phishing related to COVID-19. And since the February 2020, we have noted an increase in phishing attacks around 600%. Okay, so again, cyber criminals are not sleeping. They're fully aware of the situation. They're fully aware of some companies being completely unprepared for that shift, and the spike of the phishing emails, infected emails, and data breaches related to that says it all. 600% increase since the beginning of pandemics just emphasizes how serious the problem is. So phishing was the top security breach or top security threat related to shift from shared office to home office.
That's crazy. Okay, and the last question I promised about the security and privacy point, I think it's an important thing to discuss, but let's maybe not, we'll not take it too long, right? But again, you work in a company which provides the cloud-based platform and CRM and its whole, let's say, software, simply saying. So my question, it will be related to security and cloud-based technologies. And the way I would put it is, how well does the transition to the cloud pay off to organizations, let's say business continuity, if we may call it so, generally speaking?
Okay, perfect. So again, given that we are now transitioning from security to this kind of security/cloud related questions, I'm going to start with the security. Okay, so there's multiple aspects that we need to look at when it comes to having a proper cloud strategy, and how this cloud strategy provides this business continuity in those uncertain times. Okay, and one of the main, I suppose, functionalities, or one of the main features that we need to look at, is data security. And from the data security point of view, moving data to the cloud is the safest way of dealing and protecting your data. Cloud providers like Salesforce, they're constantly monitoring, upgrading, and updating their security solutions to the top of the range security solutions that are available in the market. Okay, it's our number one, I suppose, value to make sure that the data stays protected and that we are not losing the trust that the customers have given us once they've decided to move their data into the cloud, okay? So we are constantly monitoring that, we are constantly improving that, and we are constantly working on making sure that this data stays protected. And at Salesforce, for instance, we provide top-of-the-range, out-of-the-box security features across networking, across application, and across infrastructure that are being constantly monitored and updated. On top of that, we are also doing that in a very transparent way. So at Salesforce, you can, for instance, go to trust.salesforce.com and view the status of our data center. And when was the last attack? What was the result of that? What is the performance of our servers look like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you can go and view the live data from our data centers to make sure that your data stays protected, okay? And also we provide additional layer of security, like for instance, data encryption or cache-only keys, for instance, that further strengthens the data security. So to summarize that, it's very important to say that cloud really is the most secure way of storing data from the security perspective point of view, from the security perspective. Another aspect to look at is the speedy disaster recovery, okay? So again, when we are shifting from on-premise kind of infrastructure to the cloud infrastructure, again, it's on the cloud provider's shoulders. The responsibility lands on the cloud provider's shoulder to make sure that they have the right disaster recovery strategy in place, okay? So again, we don't have to worry about having the copies of data distributed across multiple data centers, because again, it's up to the cloud provider to make sure this happens. Again, I'm going to relate to our platform. At Salesforce, every customer that joins us gets 4 copies of data spread across 2 locations, mostly across 2 separate countries. So if the disaster occurs, this data can be very quickly recovered from a completely separate location with almost 0 downtime. So again, this is something that we constantly monitor. We constantly make sure that these data points are recoverable, providing our customers this comfort that they don't have to worry about that. Another aspect of looking at this from the kind of a cloud strategy point of view is the scalability. Well, we all go through spikes in our businesses or through some enormous growths in our business when we need to provision additional profiles, additional employees, as soon as possible, because there's a requirement coming from business to do it. Again, with cloud, this is the quickest way of provisioning systems to new employees. Again, it's as simple as buying additional licenses, providing employees with laptops, logins, off they go, they can start working from day one. There's no need to think about any significant hardware investment. It's just kind of a pay-as-you-go model. Your company grows, you add licenses, you add a couple of laptops, off you go. You're ready to equip those employees with the new systems and with new tools to complete their work. Again, it's been proved that cloud strategies and cloud-based companies were the most equipped when it comes to remote working. So again, there's no need to clarify that or to emphasize that too much. This is a well-known fact that everyone on this webinar is aware of. And then the last, but definitely not the least, is the collaboration, okay? And the single source of truth topic. When you have your data in the cloud,
Hello.
It seems David has lost connection. Let's wait.
All right.
Hopefully it comes back.
I was always afraid that this will happen on the webinar that I'm a part of.
Yeah, but you can never assure that that's excluded, right? It's the internet connection which might break or some other issue. So let's give him some more seconds. Maybe he returns.
Yeah, I think he'll come around like in a minute max. Yeah. Okay. So maybe while David is gone, let me just be filling up this space, this couple of minutes that we have without him, that our star. So we're gonna keep this going on for next let's say 10 to 15 minutes probably. Right, then I believe David has something to show for us. I believe he prepared something that he couldn't just describe in words, and he'll show us like basically 2-3 slides maybe, and later on we'll switch to Florin, and you'll show what tricks you got for us.
Yes.
Any clue on what you have prepared? Just very basic, like very generally.
Excuse me, was there a question to me?
Yeah, just generally speaking, very generally, what have you prepared for us?
Yes, so I've prepared a demo which shows how employees working remotely can be efficient and get self-service in order to do their day-to-day job. So from the employee side, I will show that, and also I will show from the backends, from the service center agent side, how these kind of requests, David talked about, HR requests or IT requests when something does not work with the laptop, or there is a Zoom connectivity issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
How that can be solved in an efficient way when people are at home and that they cannot go to the tech bar upstairs and have their problem solved. So that's basically the content of the demo, where I show it from the perspective of a regular employee, how he uses these productivity tools, and then I will show from a perspective of a service agent how service requests can be handled by the backend.
All right, good. The next question that I have prepared for David was about actually self-service tools and whether the impact of those on this switch, right? Okay, it's taking a bit longer for David to come around. Perhaps we can maybe I'll discuss this next topic while he's gone, so that we don't just waste our time here. Okay, let's talk about because the last thing I believe David mentioned was the collaboration between within a company connected to the cloud, right? So the fact was that the cloud hosted software also allows multiple users to edit documents, court cases, business opportunities, and all the files and all the data that they have in one system to have it in one place and collaborate real time just to make it more efficient. To have all of it synchronized within each other and save those changes in those files in a single source of truth, as he calls it. I like this expression.
Yes.
And that the people don't really have to worry about which document is the most up to date, because it's always up to date thanks to this kind of system, and basically this kind of stuff. So let me maybe switch to the next topic, which is the self-service tools, as you mentioned, and one of the things that you will be showing us and talking about a bit later on. So what role do these self-service tools play in the ongoing transition, right? So if we think about it during the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting employees has become more important than ever before, actually, and it's a fact. And at the same time, more challenging than ever before, because this was the situation without a precedent. And with new regulations, companies are faced with entire workforces working from home sometimes it's just like hybrid type of work, and they have to deal with it. Luckily, there are some tools and software and services that organizations can put in the right place in their strategy that will actually help their employees navigate this new normal and improve productivity and efficiency while being at home in this new way of working. There's a lot of stuff that we can mention here. There's like artificial intelligence enhanced chatbots and virtual agents that help employees, serve themselves during the hard moments, let's say. And all of this improves the experience of our employees and reduces the pressure of staffing human-assisted channels. And the channels that I mean are, for example, internal support desks and helplines, and that all of this helps to deal with the increased demand. So there are a few cases probably that I can mention that are especially relevant to support employees in the current uncertain situation, right? The first one is IT support related queries, and the queries related to system access, just to make it simple, password resets, hardware, software requests from employees that there's some error that they cannot really fix by themselves, and it has to be done very quickly, right? Application support, and all those are the ones employee will face when transitioning from to working from home, right? From office to home. And what is actually not acceptable for employees is that when they can't get technical support they need to do their jobs, because if the system doesn't allow it, if no one fixes it, then it's just a waste of time, and it's very inefficient for a company. And a chatbot, for example, or a virtual agent in the system can give them, let's say, prolonged access to self-service. So regardless of when they run into problems, where they are, and what the situation is, they can find information on step-by-step troubleshooting guides and help resolve their issues. Obviously, a lot of companies have that in the form of an Excel, Word file, and some more basic kind of documents. But during the pandemic, it has become a bit more complicated. The volume of those requests has increased dramatically, and this required, let's say, a more sophisticated tool or tools to address those needs of the employees.
Yeah, so I'm confident that we have those tools, and I can give you a feeling of how working with these tools looks like. Meanwhile, David has returned, so I don't know how we can go on now.
Guys, I apologize for this, but again, we are talking about challenges related to remote working, and my internet provider has decided to, introduce some sort of a reset of the connectivity. So I had to switch to the personal hotspot on my mobile phone, but I'm back here. So apologies for that. But again, those are, I suppose one of the challenges I as well when it comes to remote working. Yeah, unexpected internet failures, outages, and stuff like that. It hasn't happened to me in a long time. It must have happened this morning when we are presenting to this beautiful audience. So again, I'm really sorry this happened. But anyway, let's get back on track and continue our conversation, Dima. I hope everyone can hear me now and see me. And yeah.
Yes.
Minor hiccup.
I was just discussing now. In a while, I'll maybe ask you another question, right? And we'll get off to this. The topic will be the IT service management, right? And whether if it's effective during the pandemic. But first, let me just finish because I was talking about the importance of self-service tools, right? And the first kind of service tool that I mentioned was the IT support tools. And the second one, if you allow me, David, I'll just finish this one and we get up to the next one. So the second type of tools that is really crucial, is becoming really crucial during the pandemic, and the consequences of it is the HR support tools, right? Because as David mentioned it before, there is a lot of struggle with the onboarding and providing the right information for the employee and supporting him throughout the whole journey in the company. And those are related to queries like time off requests, also payroll questions, expenses report assistance, staff training, obviously new hires, onboarding, as I mentioned, and other similar stuff. So HR departments are also facing those challenges, and they have to they're forced to support their employees digitally sometimes, and they have to be equipped with the right such tools to do their job effectively and manage it in the right way, in the appropriate way. So the stage is yours again, David. I'll repeat the question because we discussed those tools that would help companies and HR and IT leaders to lead the way they should, right? So in terms of IT service management, I know what it is. We all know what it is, how it works. But the question is, I'm skeptical whether it's effective when it's done remotely, right? Because in theory it should work, but does it, in fact?
Well, again, I understand the skepticism. However, when we ask the companies whether this is possible to do remotely, to be done remotely, around 70% of people have said yes, with the right tools and the right policies in place. So obviously, one question follows the second. which is, we can do that. However, we need to have the right strategy and we need to have the right tools in place. And it's very encouraging to hear that, employees are also mostly pleased with the remote working setup after, the few years of working like that. We're kind of all getting used to that. We're all kind of treating this as a new norm, and we're kind of, we're not surprised anymore that this will potentially continue for a little bit longer, because we're all kind of adjusted to this new way of working. But, when it comes to the remote successful working, the considerations go beyond just, habits and tools. And there was an additional question asked to the employees, and there was no surprise to see that the communication with the employees and coworkers and the social isolation was named one of the top biggest challenges for this remote work type of scenario. And, we have to make sure that we are listening to our employees, that we're listening to our agents, and give them tools that they need to, to satisfy them also in this kind of, in this social kind of type of scenario. Okay. So giving your employees things like, for instance, employee community, where they can, create their profile, they can collaborate, they can exchange ideas, they contact with one another, is a way of tackling that. Okay. Then given your employees things like automated ticketing system, where they can, either submit tickets related to IT or HR, etc., and they can either find the frequently asked questions and answer those questions themselves in a fully kind of self-service way, or they can also communicate with the IT agents after the ticket has been submitted. Okay. And another key of the successful ITSM strategy when it's done remotely is the automation. Okay. So now, given that, the resources are limited and we are now working differently, we have to make sure that we are working more efficiently. Okay. And since we are now facing this new way of work, we have to make sure that we have to be able to track repetitive tasks. Okay. And that we are not repeating the tasks that could potentially be automated. So for example, once you have the right ITSM system, ITSM strategy in place, you can, for instance, help your IT team focus on their different priorities, more important priorities, by, let's say, automating the closure of tickets that have been marked as resolved. You can create a workflow that will then close that ticket, that will send an email to the employee that the ticket has been closed as successful. You can send a short survey, whatever the workflow might be. The flexibility is there, but once you have the tools like that in place, you can improve the process, you can improve the employee experience. Again, referring to what I said before, improved employee experience leads directly to improved customer experience. So those are the two kind of very related, things to look at. Also, with workloads, we can also create the automation of, updating the software, like, updating the Zoom software, any other software in a fully automated way, managed centrally. I believe Florin is going to show something in the demo, and, those are the kind of things that we want to have in our remote ITSM strategy in order to free up our agents to focus on what's really important, to automate repetitive tasks, etc., etc. So yeah, it can be done with the right approach.
Sounds like there's a lot of it, and that the pressure that was suddenly put on the shoulders of IT leaders, like especially CIOs, CTOs, and etc., has, it's been overwhelming a little, right? So if we take a more broad look at the situation for them, how important do you think the role played by CIOs and generally IT leaders was? How important of a role they played during the pandemic and the switch, and what do you think it's going to look like in the future?
That's a good question, and it's a good, actually, a similar question as well, because we've all heard or seen articles related to that. Okay, and there's multiple studies available everywhere that say that the role of the CIO and the importance of the IT teams in any organization has changed hugely in the wake of pandemic. Okay. And until now, the role of the CIO was quite often focused on technology more than the business. But the times are changing, the times have changed. And today we can say that, technology is business. And the CIO is becoming a key voice within the C-suite. Okay, so they're ultimately becoming the decision makers when it comes to, making sure that the businesses are continuing in a fully digital way, that are prepared for this business continuity in these uncertain times. And we can clearly say that almost every aspect of an organization now relies on digital processes. And again, to emphasize the role of the CIO, they are becoming primary decision makers. Okay, they're the right hands of the CEOs, the CFOs, when it comes to creating the strategy for this new norm, for this new hybrid way of working, to make sure that that the businesses are able to acquire the right talents. Because again, this shift is not going to change back to the shared office scenario as we used to have it. Okay, there's a lot of employees that are now not willing to accept jobs, accept positions when they don't have a hybrid strategy or working from home strategy in place. So again, it's on the CIOs and the IT team shoulders to make sure that those employees are fully satisfied and those needs are being met in order to, again, acquire the right talent to deliver, to further develop the business. So, it's up to the CIO to ensure that they have the business strategy that is equipped for the continuity. That means getting rid of, legacy on-premise system and introducing the cloud-first policies, because as we mentioned before, the cloud-first companies were the ones that tackled and that the ones that faced in the best possible way the challenges related to the very quick transition from shared office to home office. Yeah. So to summarize, there is that sentence that I've read that the pandemic has been a massive step for the human, but a giant leap for the CIOs. And this just emphasizes how things have changed. The CIOs are now the ones who redefine the future and becoming increasingly important, increasingly critical to the business of operations. And the future of every business continuity is business intelligence and digital technologies. Without that, the businesses are not able to continue in this new way of working, which is the hybrid or home office scenario. And it's a very brave statement, but we can say that IT leaders, CIOs, are becoming the new business leaders. And that's the kind of a point I would like to finish up this question, because I think this is the way I would like to finish up my sentence.
All right, it's been a fruitful discussion. I think I learned a lot of new stuff, and I believe that you have something more for us prepared. Is that correct?
I do indeed. So now, guys, I would like to show you a couple of slides. It will be only 4 or 5 slides that I would like to show you our new ITSM and HR service solution. Florin, can you please give me the host right? Because since I was kicked out of the meeting, I've lost it and I need to share my screen.
Yes, I will do that.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
One point, David. I think we're a bit tight on time, right? So
I will just run through it quickly. Again, I have 4 or 5 slides. I just want to give you the high-level overview of the 2 solutions. Then we will do the demo, and then we will quickly open for questions and answers. So yeah, I won't bore you with the PowerPoint. That is the idea. To, I suppose, avoid that. Can you please confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, guys, so let's just do it very, very quickly. So in order to face the new norm and in order to, provide the employees with what they're looking for, this kind of flexible way of working at Salesforce, we have created a new solution to deliver the best employee experience and to support companies with the challenges related to COVID-19. And as mentioned, they're called HR Service Center and IT Service Center. And these solutions, from the kind of a high-level point of view, how they work, they have been bundled with the employee workspace, which we can think of as an employee community. So hopefully everyone understands what the employee community is, but I've mentioned that throughout the interview. Ultimately, this is a place where the employees can create their profiles, they can open their go-to apps, their go-to content, they can collaborate, they can share ideas, etc., etc. It is an employee community, allowing them to communicate, allowing them to have the social element, when they are working from home. And IT Service Center and HR Service Center has also been bundled with the Employee Concierge. And Employee Concierge, to translate it in simple words, is nothing else but the automated IT or HR ticketing system. And this gives you access to frequently asked questions or the knowledge base where you can self-serve and find answers to the questions that you would like to find the answers to. Or if you cannot find the answers to those questions, you can create a ticket, and that ticket will be then directed to either IT support agent or HR support agent, and they will allow you to find a resolution to their case. This is done in a very transparent way that every ticket can be seen and can be tracked by the employee. You can see the status of that ticket, who is the ticket assigned to, etc., etc. Again, that improves the employee experience, which we are focusing on during today's meetings. And IT Service Center, let's focus on that a little bit more, because I need to break it down kind of two sort of approaches, because those are, even though there are similar solutions, they're kind of slightly different and provide slightly different capability and functionality. So IT Service Center, powered by the Salesforce platform, has been built with the best ITSM practices in mind and has been integrated natively with Tanium, which is the best-in-class endpoint management solution currently available in the market. And with the IT Service Center, both employees and IT agents are empowered to be more productive. IT Service Center offers 360-degree visibility into device health and asset status for IT agents and employees, with the complete transparency into who is resolving the issue and when. And IT Service Center provides impressive IT operations capabilities. It allows IT agents to resolve issues not only faster, but quite often before even employees even notice. And finally, IT Service Center allows IT departments to automate incident resolution. So typical ITSM practices like problem management or change management, or patching the system, patching the software can be done with the out-of-the-box workflows that are also available as the part of this solution. And with the IT service centers, the agents can create additional workloads and also can inject artificial intelligence into their work. And that ultimately allows them to automate their day-to-day work, getting rid of repetitive tasks that we have also been discussing in the previous panel. Another key feature of that solution is the endpoint management. Again, I want to emphasize that we have partnered with the company Tanium, which is the endpoint management leader globally. And with this partnership, IT Service Center provides 100% real-time visibility and control of the assets. With the IT Service Center's approach, agents are able to increase efficiency of their work. They can, shorten the time that previously have been quite a long process for initial asset analysis into, few minutes process that allows them to see the analysis, the results of that analysis in the nice graphical way, and focus on those IT assets that require their attention. And we have found that managing previously unmanaged assets can reduce the annual cost of running IT by 24%. And another one of our solutions that helps employees collaborate and work together and be more happy when they're working in this remote work scenario is the HR Service Center. HR Service Center helps businesses build personalized, engaging experiences for employees by streamlining HR processes and empowers HR specialists with a single view of the employee. With the HR Service Center, you can provide employees with the seamless, intuitive experience. Employees can find answers via self-service portal, the knowledge base, as I mentioned before, where they can, put in the phrase that they're looking at the answers for, and there's quite a big chance that they're going to self-serve and find the answer very, very efficiently. If not, again, HR Service Center allows them to create tickets that will be then directed to the available HR agents that will then deal with those HR tickets with the full transparency directly with the employees. And HR Service Center drives the productivity of your HR teams with the dedicated workspace and complete view of every employee that allows them to quickly resolve issues and respond to queries. With the HR Service Center, the customers can automate the series of steps into few clicks. Steps like, for instance, onboarding the new employees or training the employees can be now fully automated, and we can create workflows that will, make the onboarding of the new employee very nice and easy process. With the omni-channel engagement capabilities, HR specialists can support employees across voice, messaging, and chat. So it's up to you to decide which of those channels you want to use in order to support the queries that are coming across to the HR teams. And, you know, HR Service Center is also equipped with those powerful workflows, and that they are automating the end-to-end experiences for employee onboarding, employee training that I've mentioned before. So without any further ado, I would like to now shift over to Florin, because we are running out of time. So Florin, let's see how the ITSM and HR Service Center work in action. Over to you, Florin.
Thanks, David. Happy to do that. So now let's see. This is an overview of the demo I prepared for you today. And basically, we will have a look at the demo from the perspective of two groups of people. One is the perspective of Hamilton, which is a regular and new employee at a fictitious company called Cirrus. And we see what Hamilton will do in the system. He has a one-stop shop for everything he needs for his productive day-to-day work, and he has access to knowledge base and conversational and intelligent support with, for instance, chatbots and so on. And then we will have a look at the system from the viewpoint of Ansha. She is a support specialist, which handles the cases Hamilton raises. And they both use this very modern experience, which is available in a web browser. So it's a cloud solution. You only need a web browser to use it. And it's also available out of the box as a native mobile app, which is available for Android and Apple. This is an overview of my demo. And now I will show you the system from the perspective of Hamilton. This is the employee workspace of Hamilton, which basically, like David said, gives Hamilton a complete view of everything he needs in order to have a really productive and informed workday. And as I said, Hamilton is a young parent, he's a new employee, and for that we see here his in his onboarding journey, and he has some onboarding tasks which he needs to complete during this onboarding journey. He can click in here, and we see here that Hamilton has a bunch of stuff he needs to take care of during his onboarding phase. Now, the other sections, I will quickly go through them because we are a little running out of time, but you see here the other sections we have. So for Hamilton, he also sees all the apps which are relevant to him. So besides this workspace, of course, you might need an emailing app, you might need an app for travel expenses, he might need an app for video conferencing like Zoom, and this is everything one click away available to him. He can also configure which apps are shown here based on his preferences. Also, a company can use this employee workspace in order to deliver communication to Hamilton. And on one side, we have general communication, which is relevant for all the employees of a company, but we have also targeted information, which is relevant only for a specific group of employees. And in this case, we have new childcare resources, and these new resources are only relevant for parents, and therefore they are displayed here. So you can also control very granularly which kind of information you show to which group of people. So you might also want to display different information for people from different regions or for different countries. So you have this workspace is very flexible in delivering general, but also very targeted content. On the other side, in order to be productive, I will point to the right part of my screen. You also need to have information from third-party system, like, for instance, a HR system where Hamilton manages his vacation, where he sees his payroll, and so on. And we can also use the very strong integration capabilities we have built into the Salesforce platform, and also in order to display data from third-party system right here in the workspace at the fingertips of Hamilton, in order to have really a comprehensive and complete view of everything he needs for his day-to-day work. And of course, we can also integrate data from learning management systems, for instance, from Trailhead, and with artificial intelligence, we can also recommend specific trainings for employees, like, for instance, this training for how to create a sustainable future. Apart from that, we also have something like HR services, so services and requests which can be done out of the box with the platform, and The services are from different categories, like type of benefits. You can request different type of things, or you can change your employee data, or you, for instance, with this kind of services, you can request something like a sick leave or something like that. Or of course, you can also have an overview of all your files managed with the platform and so on. So that's a rough overview of what Hamilton can do in this employee workspace. And as I told you, this is also all available as a mobile app. So for that, let me present my mobile phone, how it looks on my mobile phone. So you see here the content of my mobile phone, and you see here on the left bottom side, I have an app which contains this employee workspace. Of course, for your company, this app could be completely branded to fit your needs. In this case, it is a pretty generic app. I will go ahead and open the app right now. And what you see here is the content we saw on the web browser. It's all available also in a native mobile app, which uses all the functions you would expect from a mobile app, like access to camera, push notifications, and so on. So you can, like, if a new onboarding task comes up, Hamilton can be notified with a push notification in order to make sure he really sees this new task. And I will just scroll through it, and you will see here that all the stuff I saw on the desktop, I can also see on the mobile app. And for instance, I can go in here and request a sick leave from here with a start date and so on, then upload the certificate for sick leave and so on, right? So everything is also available in the mobile version. Now, because it's easier to show you stuff on the web browser, or I'll switch back to the web browser in order to show you a little bit more in the direction of self-service what David just talked about. And I told you about Hamilton, that he's a young father and he's now interested in going on parental leave. For that, he can use the Google-like search function we have built in here in this workspace. So it's, you know, we are all used from day-to-day life to working with Google and just searching for everything. We're not used to remembering click paths to go somewhere. And so we have this powerful search in here, and Hamilton might go ahead and look for parental leave. And we have here different stuff like different tickets he just opened. And we also have, which is relevant for now, a knowledge article. Now we see here a knowledge article which describes the parental leave request, with which can also incorporate, of course, images, videos, and so on. And Hamilton can get all the information he needs from here. And if he now decides to create a parental leave request, he goes on here on new ticket. The category is pre-populated with leave because he created a ticket starting from this knowledge article. We have here different categories which can be chosen, and these categories, of course, can also be customized with point-and-click tools to fit your company's needs in order to have the categories you really need around here. So you can then say the pre-filled subject and description, I leave it like that, and you can also upload a birth certificate, for instance, and you then can create those kind of HR ticket, again, for a specific department of HR. So this would typically go to the HR leave queue, where some agents are working on this queue and working on the tickets which come into this queue, right? So this is an example of an HR ticket which Hamilton might do with this platform. And another example is, let me switch back to the home screen in order to use the search bar again, is like we're constantly having such a kind of issues like David just demonstrated today, that at the point where it fits the worst, then something like that happens. And let's say Hamilton has a similar issue like David has, and he says his Zoom is not working. And then again, also for this kind of IT issues, there is knowledge. And now Hamilton can go ahead and help himself and try to do some Zoom troubleshooting for himself or from here. And these are some commonly known issues described in here. But this does not help Hamilton, so he will create a ticket from here. You see here the correct ticket category is chosen. It's an IT ticket. Again, subject and description have some text in it. Let's use just this text. No need for an attachment right now. And I've created now a new ticket. Now, we've talked about self-service a lot, and also that artificial intelligence and chatbot is very relevant today. Like we are all used to using chatbots, right? To some extent, and that's also available here for David. I would like to point you to the bottom right part. We see here a chatbot which is popping up, and the first question is artificial intelligence powered chatbot has to Hamilton is whether this is a health related question or not, because if it would be a health related question, then Hamilton would be directly directed to an agent. But as it is not a health related question, Hamilton can go ahead and use the option which the chatbot proposes to him. Okay, no, something went wrong in here, so let's skip it. But for I think you got the idea. We have here a conversational chatbot which helps Hamilton also get information he needs right from here, right? For the sake of time, I will now switch view, so you see how Hamilton works with the system in order to have everything he needs one click away in this workspace, which is also available in the mobile version. And he can get himself self-service, and he can get himself support for HR issues or IT issues. Now I'll switch view to see how Ansha works with the system in order to help Hamilton solve the issues he just created. Right, so this parental leave issue and this IT Zoom related issue. When it comes to parental leave, we see the case Hamilton has created. We see here an overview of this case from Ansha's perspective. She sees all the employee details. She sees the status of the ticket. She sees also some sort of next best action powered also by artificial intelligence. So there is an open health-related enrollment for young parents here, and Ansha is suggested to send this enrollment package to Hamilton. And she also, of course, sees all the case information, the subject description, and also the files Hamilton just uploaded. And we also have here the artificial intelligence, which helps the agent categorize this request by looking at the text, which was input in this request. And Einstein makes here some recommendation regarding the priority and the type of case in order to help Ansha categorize this type of request. And by using this very well structured view of the case, of the HR case, Ansha can go ahead and solve Hamilton issues, go back and forth and communicate with Hamilton. She might use this feed, for instance, in order to post a question to Hamilton if she misses some information and so on. So you see here, she can mention Hamilton like you would do on LinkedIn or something like that, and request additional information from Hamilton if something is missing. Now that was the HR ticket case related to parental leave. Let's go ahead and have a look at how Ansha would handle a IT related issue. And we talked about this Zoom issue Hamilton has, similarly to the issue David had before. And now with IT cases, of course, the layout of working with this ticket is a little different, because now we are not interested so much in employee details, but we're interested in the device Hamilton uses in order to really find out in a fast way what is the issue. And that's really the point here. In order to use also this endpoint management solution, we can integrate in order to have a fast resolution of this case by looking on the device details. And Ansha can do that simply from here by looking at the CI, so configuration item details. So she sees what the computer name of Hamilton is, what the status of the computer is, what the health is of the computer, and she has also actions she can take from here. And One action is very interesting, actually, because Hamilton said he had the Zoom issue. But when looking at the computer of Hamilton, Ansha sees that actually the problem might be somewhere else, because the Zoom software is not out of date, but what it is out of date is a VPN client. So Hamilton seems to have, probably have issues with connecting to his VPN, and that might cause this Zoom issue because he cannot log into the virtual private network of the company. And Ansha can now try to solve the issue by, for instance, managing out-of-date software and update this outdated VPN client, choose it and go ahead here. So I won't click it to the end for the sake of time for now, but you see here the important part is with IT related stuff is not only have the description, what Hamilton said that he thinks the problem is, right? He thought that Zoom had a problem, but actually the problem was somewhere else because VPN was not working. So this solution during the in the IT help desk really helps Ansha solve these kind of tickets fast. As a short recap, we saw how a regular employee and a service agent work with the system. It's all built on a powerful Salesforce platform. Everything you have seen from the workspace to the services can be configured in a very easy point-and-click fashion. It's supported by artificial intelligence. It gives chatbots and knowledge and everything one needs in order to really have a productive workday and informed workday also when working remotely from home. So that's it for the demo. Over back to you, David.
Thanks for the demo, Florin. It was very good. And Dima, how are you doing with time? I suppose we're now kind of running out of time.
Actually, it's like 3 minutes past 11, so we should slowly be wrapping it up. I don't see any questions in the chat, so if in case anyone has questions, we encourage you again to ask those. And in the meantime, I would like to thank everyone for the participation. David, Florin, David, thank you for the discussion. It was very interesting. Florin, thank you for showing us how exactly this can look like and what it should look like, maybe even in a practical way, right? Thank you for everyone, every guest that came to the webinar, and also those who are watching it in the future when this webinar will be on-demand type of webinar that you can download on the website of Cloudity. We encourage everyone to follow us on LinkedIn, is at the website. Just check out the website. We have a very wide portfolio of webinars, and it really makes me happy to see how the topics, how we're expanding the topics of those webinars, starting with the sales, service, marketing, and those more core kind of stuff to IT service management, and it's really incredible to me. Okay, I still see no questions, so I think we can slowly, let's say, finish it, call it a day. Thanks again, David. Thanks, Florin.
Thanks, Dima, for hosting this meeting. Thanks, Florin, for doing a great demo. And if there's any questions from any of our customers joining today, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to facilitate one-to-one sessions to, deep dive into more details about our solutions presented today. Thank you.
Thank you from my side.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.